supports. It's just really, really free. They are also on red side, which kind of gives them the option to snap up any bot lane pairs that they might want. I wonder what FPX are going to be focusing. Obviously, Varus, their first ban. Red side having to take away the Vi. Could potentially also leave up a Nefiri if they really choose to.
Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to see even like a Pantheon ban come through, because Tian has played so much of it so far. He's played it 9 times, his most played champion. Obviously has a really sick pairing with Talia, who's had a crazy high win rate as well.
All right, FPX, so what are you banning? Are you going to ban Nefiri or are you going to ban Talia? I feel like getting rid of Talia might be more worth it for you. I feel like getting rid of Xiaohu's most played champion, the best champion on the patch right now in mid lane, feels like the right answer. But I could see them making an argument that we're probably not getting access to Nefiri. So they're going to instead agree and just get rid of that. So I'm assuming that this is going to be either a Pantheon or a Nefiri for Tien.
Right, and then it really pretty much just confirms what Xiaohu will play, right? If they go Pantheon, he's probably going to play Ahri if it's not already picked up. And then if they go Nefiri, he'll probably end up picking the Ryze. I mean, if I'm FPX, I think I'm early picking my bot lane here and just going, you know, going with Nico and like Kalista and just calling it a day. I don't care.
Wow, we're going for the Gwen already. This champion has been getting nerfed, and I think with getting rid of the Rumble and the Scion, I think it kind of does make a little bit of sense there. You are worried about potentially playing against a Jace in top lane, so...
Alô, alô, alô. Tem alguém já comigo?
And now with FPX taking Jway and his Nico, getting the Pantheon, playing side lanes is a little trickier, especially around the map, so we'll see how FPX are able to kind of pilot this one. Weibo, I think you still have to pick up an AD jungler. I think you're still having the options of like the Xin Sao, just gives you strong skirmishing no matter what your mid lane pick here is. I wonder if Weibo are going to instead opt to just pick support here.
Bom dia, bom dia, bom dia. Hoje a gente é Fly Phoenix Fly, rapaziada. FPX tem que ganhar.
Yeah, it is worrisome that he could lose 2 of his best options. It feels like an Ahri or a Galio would be really good. So if they just get banned away, you know, you'll be a little upset by that, but maybe not, as they just go and lock in the Ryze.
All right. Xiaohu's going to pick up his Ryze. Side lane is going to be a very, very important part of this game already when you have a Gwen and a Ryze going on. I wonder how much more FPX are going to try to cheat map play here. You can try to just pick up a
Bom dia, Cadiló. Bom dia a todo mundo aí.
Aurora, very good for the lane. And if we're talking about FPX having to play, I think that a very important part of this is going to have to be them smashing Weibo in the early game. Make sure that they are uncomfortable coming into the mid-game section here. So we'll see what Shadow and Care can do. Big components of their team when it comes to success. As we get into the back end of this draft, AD Care is going to be quite pinched here.
Yeah, and FPX already taking out the Lucian. They're going after these strong AD carries because I think Weibo, they're going to put a big priority on Grubs this game, right? We're going to see Gwen, we're going to see Ryze really do stuff in the side lane, as you just mentioned. So, hey, take out some of these strong things that can, you know, fight through a Nico in the bot lane.
Why was there an Annie ban? Are they thinking that this is a
Hoje tem trilha sonora, hoje tem.
I mean, into Gwen, I don't think it's
Bom dia, Hitray. Bom dia a todo mundo que tá chegando aí, gente. Caralho, eu tenho que planilhar muita coisa.
So, feels a little strange to see the Annie, unless they think that there's like some weird flex. I don't know. I feel like this should just be, you're looking at supports. Annie support has not been at all very popular in pro play. It has almost exclusively been played in mid lane. So I think maybe either a misban or I just don't understand the strategy. So now I feel like if you're FPX, you can say, okay, there's 2 options. We can have Kai'Sa, we can take Ezreal here as well, try to play range. If you're going to be in the hands of Awesome, even MF I think works here. You're sure you're playing in a Crescent Guard, but still.
Yeah, he's still been solid on that champion, but
Esse Ryze do Xiaohu é quente.
The only issue run into that is, you know, there are still bot lanes available.
Cara, a Wave tá com treta interna, né, gente? É o que as coisas indicam, pelo menos, né? Pra quem não tá sabendo aí.
I'm a little worried here because now you have a losing lane in mid, you have a losing lane in bottom lane, especially with this double ranged coming on through. Maybe there's some spicy stuff that we can see coming out from Light and Hung, but again, this is one of Hung's first games coming off of a full month's break here for the rest of the roster. Yeah, I guess they had the right read. They thought that this Aurora was going to go top lane. Sheer is going to be playing it. Again, they took Gwen's HP down in scaling lanes, so I think maybe just doing a little bit more damage there. There is so much burst coming in from FPX. If Weibo can get to maybe 2 items,
Tá com essa treta aí, então, tipo, pô.
Tien and Xiaohu are very tanky, but if you can just get around that by
Que a galera tá meio que esperando assim.
In a really strong state to actually pressure Weibo.
Yeah, while they do have the strength of Pantheon RA, do remember that.
Esse cara meio puto, né? Os caras queriam trocar o Tian, tá ligado? Aí deu treta, né?
If that impact is mitigated a little bit early on, especially for a team that we really are like, hey, FPX needs to get the ball rolling. They need Shadow to do a whole lot. I think Kara is going to have a big hand into trying to help him out, get them off the ground, get this early lead, and then make sure, again, you at least take a couple of these grubs away. Make sure you can't get split off.
Playing side lane should be a lot easier coming in for Weibo, and I want to see them prioritize getting grubs. Grubs changed, obviously, from a couple of weeks ago, but still very strong, especially when you have a Gwen and a Ryze. They're going to be so powerful, but it is going to come down to Tien and Hung. When we talk about these two teams,
Mostra mais aqui as coisas.
Always a very big part of the game, especially here in pro play. But if these side lanes actually want to get any
meu monitor principal virou o outro aqui. Sem eu ver.
Where Pantheon is going to be, where he's not going to be. They need to be keeping track of this support in the Nico, because she can be very, very slippery around the map and misplays, especially with the clones. So Weibo need to be on top of vision, and I just think they're going to be losing out on mid control very easily in the mid game.
Yeah, it will become problematic, mostly because you have to fear kind of the all-in engage coming through for FPX. If you step up a little too far, we head on to Summoner's Rift, game 1 of this best-of-3 series between Weibo and FPX.
GG.
Wow.
Tem muito double AP, né?
That was tough. It's okay.
Mas a Caixa tem que fazer AD aqui, né? Ela é meio obrigada a fazer AD. Pô, gente, eu acho que esse pau eu prefiro a comp da Wave, tô maluco? Só agora a gente falou, né? O time tá todo tretado, né?
Let them cool off for a little bit. There will be a 2-day break between the end of regular season and playoffs starting, and then we'll have a single best of 5 almost every single day, if I'm correct. So, gonna be very exciting. And taking a look, both junglers seeming to start on opposite sides. Weibo a little bit afraid of some of the level 1 shenanigans that could go on here, but big focus is going to come down to what Hung is going to do here as the.
Eu prefiro a comp da Wave também.
Yeah, he's got a tough assignment too, right? Again,
pra lidar contra a Aurora. Tem muito anti-engage ali, né?
One of the best supports in the league. Honestly, you could put him up there for the best. I don't think you'd get too many arguments there. And, you know, Hung, again, is a guy that literally got benched early on in the year. Now, lucky for him, I guess, Weibo has continued to struggle a little bit. They go and bring him back. But Hung has a really important role this game because there's not a whole lot of CC coming out, right? It's the knockup from Tien. It's the Rune Prison from Xiaohu. It has to be Hung making these plays.
Exactly. I mean, hell, if your enemy team's going to run into you and you have quickness on Rakan, we take those.
Hey, so. Listen, yep, absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah. So level 2 is going to be gained here by the bottom lane of FPX first, as they have been able to harass their opponents a lot. Kara has to be very careful. He is trading a lot of his HP here, and Xiaohu feels quite fine with the position he's quite in. Pantheon is going to make it down towards the bottom side a little sooner than Xiaohu, Tien, but Tien's already making an entrance into mid. This ward's going to spot him out.
All right.
Então, faz tempo assim, tem uns meses, né? Tem umas semanas, na real, né? Umas 2 semanas. Contra a Tessa, o Ibe jogou na moral até, aí é osso. Salve, Gandhi. Melhorou o toxicolo? Cara, não muito, assim, tipo assim, hoje já não tô sentindo mais dor, né? Tá de boa, mas eu tô todo chapado de analgésico, né? Que eu tomei ontem na veia, tá ligado? Tomei um remédio antes de dormir também, tomei de pirona e tal, outros remédios lá. Vamos ver como é que eu vou ficar. Mano, ontem, gente, foi uma dor bizarra, velho. Pô, o Cruzeiro dominou o jogo ontem, o Aimito. Mas não fez gol. Faltou só o gol. Só deu o Cruzeiro o game inteiro.
Yeah, FPX already forcing backs out of their bot lane and top lane on the side of Weibo. Breathe going to be TP-less for quite some time. We are seeing this crab get taken care of here, and it looks like Shadow will head back. He's pinging that, hey guys, I'm going to my wolves. We're seeing some warding getting done here by Xiaohu on the top side. Tien will just ward up and he'll head back as well. So Weibo gonna get
Como é a vida de casal que a gente vai ter um bebê reborn?
Interesting here. You know, I just noticed some of the runes, specifically Breathe going for the grass.
30 de FPX, Vitão? Pô, mano, eu não sei se eu gosto muito de FPX aqui não.
I feel like that's a really tough rune to try to grab. You're almost never in range to auto attack her, and it's a
Já tô na FPX, né?
relies on you taking shorter trades versus your opponent. So maybe feeling like in a
Pegar um bebê reborn, né? Seu Skit comprou um, né, mano? Meu Deus, ele é muito doente, velho. Seu Skit é bizarro, não tem como, mano. Sou muito fã desse cara, velho. Eu acho que esse... Eu acho que eu prefiro o Weibo aqui, guys. Nesse mapa 1. Só que o início do jogo se pá é da FPX, né? O Weibo precisa de crescer ali. Zaya demora muito a entrar no jogo. Ryze demora um pouco também. Gwen também, então... Provavelmente o início da partida é bom pra FPX, tá ligado?
Be able to get some things done in the early game. It's been relatively quiet. We haven't really seen these junglers do anything more than poke their heads out. This dragon is already up. Remember, these grubs 3 minutes away. Let's see how the teams are going to prioritize these objectives.
Awesome hasn't recalled yet. He is staying for a lot of gold right here.
Eita.
You've already seen that light. He took
Você pai solo ainda de bebê reborn.
Now he's going to be backing. He's going to have a full Warhammer. And now Sheer is TPing topside. They're making the swap here. FPX want to try to prioritize dragons. I know that we talked about, hey, in 2.5 minutes time, there'll be grubs who want to see Weibo contest for them. But I think Weibo giving themselves potential out in this game with a win condition around dragons is very, very smart for them. Using some of their priority and Weibo just wanting to dodge out on a pretty tough matchup early on.
They're going to show up here, force Sheer back, so Sheer immediately teleports and immediately starts backing. This is not quite equitable.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just to catch the wave in case there was someone that's going to just immediately pounce on it. Obviously, like you're saying, this is a disadvantage. There will be a large discrepancy in between the two teleports from our top laners here. And just making sure that when Awesome goes up to that wave, that he has someone potentially to be there in the area. Awesome's going to take a pretty disgusting trade. Half of his HP gone here before Jue's even back. And with Tien on this side of the map, Shadow still has to take like 2 or 3 camps before he's level 6.
Pode comentar sobre isso lá no tweet da China, sim. Aí o LPL Insider traduziu e postou, né? E tipo, parece que deu uma briga bem bizarra internamente ali. Quando descobriram que a galera queria trocar o Tian, queriam pegar... Não entendi muito bem se o Tian queria ter sido trocado. Mas deu uma tretinha.
I think this is really smart because if they also take his Krugs, I mean, that's Shadow not having ultimate. Like that, I think is a huge game breaker for them. So he'll have access to this, he will get his ultimate, but I like how Weibo are playing. Use the priority, saying, look, Awesome just took a trade, Jue just got back in, let's have our bottom lane move into to the jungle. We also used our Ryze, who right now is feeling very good about the game, is under no threat, doesn't have his Catalyst quite yet, but this Ahri hasn't been able to get much done. We have an objective spawning in 20 seconds. Not going to be a make or break here for FPX. If they can find a win here, I feel like they're in a really good spot early on in this game.
And they have to, because the scaling on Weibo is just so...
Pô, dei meio enjoado hoje, velho. Não sei se é por causa dos remédios, né? Meio muito remédio.
Really can't contend with unless FPX later on in the game are like, hey, we found an odd man fight and Awesome just carried it because he's playing Kai'Sa and he has a ton of items. So, you know, big risk and no contest here. That is really, really confusing.
Yeah, you know, I thought, you know, or I said earlier that the priority for FPX was going to be a little bit hard in the mid game, just because you do have a Kai'Sa, and especially because you're not going static Shiv here, you're going for the Utah Wild Arrows. You're really pressed for wave control. You can use your evolved Q, but it's just not enough early on. and especially for someone like Light, he uses 1, 2 of his spells. He has a bunch of feathers that just rip through the minion wave passively. So this is really good coming in from Weibo. I think they're using their one lane of priority with the Xayah to get around the map, get some things done. Shadow takes an enemy red buff camp, but getting 3 grubs for Weibo was exactly what we wanted to see. Now, we actually do need to actually see them utilize it. Again, win more objective is the grubs, and we haven't quite seen them be able to get too much turret damage early.
Yeah, it feels like one of the scenarios where they're going to have to make a play on the side lane, and then that's when this wave will kind of be positive for them, right? You get a kill on the breathe or Xiaohu, and then life gets a lot easier. So we'll look to see in the next couple of minutes if they are able to make that play, as it looks like they might already be ready to turn up the heat. Tien and Xiaohu headed up top.
You see the pings coming on out. Jue's not quite in the area. He should know with the Thrum Warp coming.
E aí? E aí, Assun? Foi mal, a gente tava arrumando um negócio ali. Prestar mais atenção no jogo aqui. Ó, o Wave tá ganhando esse early game aí, hein? Não acho que era pra estar acontecendo isso não, era. Acho que se o Wave ganhar o early game aqui, o jogo só acaba, guys. Essa comp da FPX aí... Essa comp da FPX aí só vai pra cima, tá ligado? Se você tiver... Se estiver apanhando, porra, fodeu.
Extra gold allowing Xiaohu to get his completed boots as well as his catalyst, which, I mean, with the way catalyst has been, kind of makes him a little unkillable. It feels like it'll be really hard, but we have seen a lot of Rises make some critical mistakes. We'll see if Xiaohu can avoid them, a guy who has been one of the best to ever do it, honestly. But this season, this split has not been one of the best ever, dude. He has really, really struggled. And with that first kill, this game will be on his shoulders.
Alright, well, we don't have much to talk about. There is a dragon spawning in 20 seconds. You can already see what Weibo have done. They've moved their lanes into the right position here. Teleport will be an advantage for Sheer. This is kind of that seesaw between our two top laners in terms of their teleport usage. Sheer used his to go top side. He ended up backing, so he ended up losing the teleport for the Gwen to be able to use it later. Now Gwen doesn't have that and will be trapped under this top
Mas
side.
primeiro Drake foi da FPX, né? Pegar esse segundo Drake aqui, estacar um pouco. Dá pra tentar jogar em volta de sei se a alma for boa, né? Tem chance da alma ser boa, 50%, né? Porque... Oceano, hein? Não foi boa alma. Nossa, FPX ainda perdeu aí. Shadow saiu bem com ult, hein?
Okay, well now they can chase him out of the top side. They can get priority into mid. Maybe even get his get access to his respawn red buff since they know that's up because they took it. How many plays can Weibo actually get from this? They already got themselves the kill. FPX most importantly got the dragon, but these are real pure.
Pô, não acho que agora a alma não é tão boa, né?
And I commend Weibo Gaming for deciding, hey, we need to fight here. We don't really have lane advantages elsewhere. Meanwhile, Breathe for a little bit of a scrap onto Sheer. Sheer will dodge out of the wind, becomes lightning. The Shadow backing him up, but this shove will continue.
Yeah, Sheer and Shadow are also very low. There is no ultimate coming on for Breathe, so it's just going to be a wave push that he's going to recall from. They got push in mid. Xiaohu immediately after that play went down towards bottom lane, so Care couldn't get all that much. That difference in the mid lane is starting to grow. I know we were talking about our bottom lanes, but Xiaohu already 1,000 gold up on his lane opponent here and had way better impact when it came to that fight around.
E aí, FPX, vocês vão reagir? Mano, se acabou esse jogo, guys. Tá muito estranha a vantagem já.
All they have to show for it are 2 dragons. Again, that is a win condition as long as they can stay on top of these Drake stacks.
Yeah, I love that you pointed that out because these guys have been, you know, essentially the franchise players for both of these organizations. And they've struggled really, really hard at times, right? You know, Xiaohu, obviously, we have these really lofty
Só eu tô achando isso.
Not necessarily the same expectations of Care, but you know, when you build around a guy and he is a constant.
Esses campeões aqui, ó, quando você tá atrás, eles são muito piores, tá ligado? Todos eles na real aqui. Mas principalmente esses aqui, ó, esses 3.
You know, he's been a part of the roster since 2022 spring. Actually
Aí,
played
pô,
with Hung
tentar
originally.
entrar numa Zaya, Ryze, difícil dar pick-off.
But I think the
Difícil
fact that we
iniciar
have
nessa
that
outra
he
comp
has been
aqui.
a part of this FPX organization for his entire career, including Blaze, which is their developmental roster, I think speaks to the loyalty that he's had and also kind of him being the cornerstone of FPX mids after Doinbeat. So he has to, I think, pay some of that loyalty back and, you know, bring home some wins. He's been a middle-of-the-pack mid laner since his inception and kind of coming into the league. This will also be Weibo grabbing themselves first turret of the game. Let's see if Breathe can survive this. This is 3 members.
This is going to be so tough. Care finally going to drop that ultimate down. They will be able to find the kill. He will get it himself. Now they're going to look to at least trade turrets here. TM with a nice flash with the wind becomes
O que vai acontecer com a...
coming through as well. Lands the quickness onto one.
Cara, acho que a T1 já comentou que vai jogar com Guma já, de qualquer jeito, né? Acho que eles vão continuar jogando com Guma. Opa, beleza, FPX conseguiu uma play, hein?
As FPX are looking to make some plays and they even up the kill score.
Wait, they just got 3 kills for free like that? They traded turrets and maybe even trading down here as Xiaohu has been playing the map so much better. Took the top lane tier 1, shifted into mid so that they can make this investment around the bottom side of the map. FPX, they traded a teleport coming in from Sheer. They got themselves the turret, 3 kills. That's a good equalizer coming in.
Vou precisar de ir no banheiro, pessoal. Tô meio enjoado aqui. É, eu vou esperar um pouco ainda, só pra ver se é.
You got your kills. You need to show up now. Let's take a look at this replay. Poor Breathe is just on an island. They're a little too late to get to it.
Yeah, just look.
Não, vou ter que ir lá no banheiro, peraí. Caralho.
I will say,
Já
I think
volto.
that Weibo played this about as well as I think you could have. It's so unfortunate that this turret dies right as the last turret shot that is in air that would have killed Shadow dissipates. So he's no longer to be dealt damage. Zaya, he doesn't get any kill credit for this. She gets local experience. I feel like Light is kind of the biggest loser in this play. He got his entire mid wave taken by his mid laner. And then he gets nothing for coming down here.
Yeah, now, good news for him. He does have about a 40 CS lead, so he might be missing it just he might be a little sad, but it's not the end of the world for him. But, you know, as AD carry players, you and I, did that happen to me? Oh, man, I'm making a chat restriction.
Exactly. All right, Breathe gets forced out. It's just Dway and Care. They did use a lot of their ultimates for that. That was Care using the Spirit Rush while we were in the replay. We saw it in the picture-in-picture, forcing him out. Double summoners out from Gwen, and now a Herald here for Weibo. FPX, they got mid-push. They should be able to start this dragon, but with how the timer has been offset, Weibo now get access to the mid-wave earlier. Tian can just drop this Herald if he wants, and they could potentially open up a lot of turrets here if they so choose with the structures. Instead, wanting to fight them on this, recognizing that FPX are going to be down resources for the time being.
Feels like this is a very tenuous game here for FPX, and guess what? They gave Weibo the inside track. They didn't even start the dragon up, so Weibo is going to go. They're going to drop the Rift Herald with their 3 grubs, and now what's FPX going to do? Are they going to just stand there and wait? We're going to see Tian get in the Rift Herald, knock down the turret. Here comes the turnaround. Is Shadow going to go in? Hung going to land the charm onto one member. They will easily take him out, but it ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. Now Weibo looking for a little bit more here. Care's forced away. Does have that ultimate. He's to get that good damage. Xiaohu with the flash right on top of Care. He is able to Spirit Rush out of there, but that means that Weibo will have control and will take the dragon.
And that is so many summoner spells as well. Dway tried to use the heal. He used it at the wrong moment and also out of range of the Pantheon. So that's one. The Ghost from Awesome starting that fight. The flash from Care to finish it. Now FPX, that dragon stacking is broken. They lost the mid-tier 1 or mid-tier 2. They lose out on the fight and the dragon. So FPX starting to lose out on the map, and Weibo showing some of that expertise and showing some of the glimpses that we thought were going to come across this entire season so far, with Xiaohu having a miraculous Rise performance.
Yeah, he's been playing so good right now. As Weibo going to look to knock down the spots here. One turret Sheer trying to do what he can to clear. Is going to drop the ultimate, and here comes Shadow. Pop Blossom only lands onto Hung, but they root him up and take him down. They will get Kare's TP out as well. Ends being a double kill after Tien went down as well.
How much more are we going to go for, though? Because Awesome, in the meantime, hits level 11, is able to hit on this mid-wave.
Uh-oh. He might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's got a flash over the wall. He's on the wrong side of the tracks, but luckily, the rest of FPX were there to back him up.
Okay. I don't think that's worth it, though. I'm gonna be honest. Kaisa does have access to her own mini flash by having access to the Killer Instinct, but losing both of your summoner spells from that dragon play, not as tight. Not exactly what I wanted to see there. Nice job from Sheer to just try to focus on clearing the minion wave. Using the ultimate clears all of these out. There's a great punish coming out from FPX, but just look at how much they use for this play. It's 3 ultimates. It's the teleport also from Care. You then eventually end up losing your flash. I feel like FPX are trading down in a lot of these instances, and not even in like a way that really inspires a lot of hope.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The problem is they kind of have to, right? Because, again, we talked about earlier, you get outscaled. And given the fact that you're already down 2,000 gold, you haven't been able to stop Breathe. He's been able to farm up just fine, and he's, in fact, even in CS in this matchup where it was range versus melee. Xiaohu obviously having this incredible game right now. It just feels like it's so difficult, and you need to grasp at straws before Weibo gets too strong.
Okay, so they're trying to stop them from getting every single tier 1. A lot of focus onto this bottom lane. I think if Weibo are able to grab this with very little lost, they're feeling very, very optimistic about 230, that timer for the Dragon. As right now it's going to be FPX getting a wave in top side here. And also you think alongside that timer for the Dragon spawning, I look at Xiaohu's inventory, 3 minutes until that Rod of Age isn't completed. It's, you know, that ticking time bomb of Ryze getting closer and closer to level 16 and having all this HP, now including the feats of war or the feats of strength upgraded boots.
Yeah,
that's
so
going to be very disgusting to deal with how much magic damage this team currently has from FPX.
Yeah, and you know what? Of course, because it's Merc Treads, you still get a little bit of, a little bit of value if Pantheon hops on you and tries to stun you. But yeah, mostly for these 2 AP carries and even Jue as well. So it's going to be so hard to take this guy down. And again, FPX, they really needed that 3rd dragon in order to make this game survivable for them. It feels like they're going to need Weibo to make a lot of mistakes, which is a team that has made a lot of mistakes. And even in this game, for as well as they've played, have made some mistakes.
All right, well, aside from items right now, I think that in terms of power, you are still really liking what FPX can do. They have a lot of burst. I know we haven't seen Jue step up in the usual ways we have seen from his Nico support, but still always has that possibility of being a big game changer for his team. And all it takes is a single fight, right? Like if FPX, they find a huge Pot Blossom, they're able to get into the back line of a few members, suddenly this game looks a little bit more wary. They can take an Otacon. They could potentially even look for Dragon if that's going to be up in 3.5 minutes time. I think there's a lot of options, and the amount of possibilities that they have, especially with this Grand Starfall from the Pantheon.
Yeah, it's so hard, though, because Breathe's tier 1 turret is still up. Looks like Shadow's going to have to try to sneak in, but meanwhile, look what's going on in the mid lane. Jue in a lot of trouble, gets knocked up, but the damage is going to be there. The clone not quite going to be enough to fool them as TN will pick them off. And now 36 seconds till this dragon. FPX has to do something, and it looks like they can't.
Jue will be up in time for the dragon. He also has flash. Losing his heal there really sucks. So
Voltei.
I don't know. I feel like Weibo are going to be saying, okay, well, we just got a free kill. Let's get this Otacon now. We're going to start this up. And that's a huge find from them. They even get control of mid. Maybe
os caras vão givar o Atacan lá assim.
I know we see some of them up. Oh, sorry, there's no Baron.
O cara falando da FPX e Baron sem Baron, mano.
Weibo are about to explode in terms of how much gold they're about to have.
Yeah, this is not worth it, and it really comes down to they weren't able to find a breathe on time. Shadow wasn't able to make that impactful play.
Que isso, FPX givou tudo então. Acabou o jogo, pô.
To be in an awkward spot, right? He gets off scot-free. They get the dragon, they get the Otacon. Weibo, despite being down in kills, don't let that fool you. Even with the gold lead the way it is, they are in full control of this game.
We got 3 camps and a top lane tier 1, and we traded for a bottom lane tier 1 and an Otacon. You know, I feel like it's pretty tenuous. That is true, and the dragon. So you gave over another Ocean Drake, so now enemy team has 2. In terms of resources, they're going to be feeling very good. We now look at all of these Rod of Ages that have started to complete. You're also getting the bonus amount of gold, or the adaptive force and experience.
Alguém aí tá confiando nas FPX ainda nesse jogo? Eu já desisti já deles nesse jogo já, velho.
Foi. I think the only argument you might want to make is that you know, we haven't hit 3 items on our 80 carries, but Tien has an item lead right now. We haven't really seen Sheer or Care step up in this game, and Jway is getting picked off repeatedly here, making it very difficult for FPX to ever actually find
Pô,
fights.
pior que era boa essa aí, hein?
Jway has been suspiciously quiet. His Pop Blossoms have not been fantastic. Remember we talked about earlier, he's kind of set the bar for Nico play in the LPL so far.
Yeah.
And he's just not shown up, right? It's tough, obviously. I don't think FPX has really put themselves in good positions for him to be able to get these off. But some of the blame has to lie with him. He's a support after all.
Good. We must blame our supports. I'm glad we're living here. Well, we're getting some setup here. You know who has been, you know, for the most part blameless this game? Hong.
Tell me. Oh,
Hong has been, he's been good. I don't want to say he's been incredible, but for a player that had a lot of criticism, and I think rightfully so, was a player to be watching for why Weibo were losing a lot of games. He's been having a fine step up into the stage and into Tier 1. So we'll see what else the Weibo squad can do, as not much for FPX to get done. I think Weibo are really smartly playing around waves and what vision they have, not overextending. I think you touched on it when Gwen was under the Tier 1. There was not really a dive opportunity for FPX to go for with this Pantheon, and so without Weibo overextending...
eles ficaram givando tudo, né? Não entendi também. Sendo que, pô, acho que quanto mais o tempo passa, é Gwen, Zaya e Ryze crescendo ali.
Yeah, and Pantheon's one of those champions that doesn't really have great scaling, to put it mildly. The later this game goes, the worse the champion tends to get. And I love that you touched on that. Weibo's solo laners not getting picked off. It feels like it's been an epidemic in the LPL so far this year, that the side lane play has not been as great as we've seen in the past. It's been a little too over-aggressive at times. And while this is certainly measured, 2-1 and 2 combined for the both of them, I'm really proud of the way that Weibo has played. They look like a completely different team right now.
Only one game sample size. I could very realistically see FPX winning game 2. I need to see them as Weibo put together a series, and even then, right? Like, this is a team that is surprisingly their level. It's supposed to be their weight in this game here. Gare has to be showing a little bit of caution.
He did not show enough care, bro. Charm goes down. He is going to burn his ultimate. Maybe a turnaround, though, as Tien has to pop his ultimate.
Tien trollou, hein?
Gets in there. The Realm Warp gets Xiaohu a little, you know, just tries to fake them out, but he doesn't get close, actually. So FPX, they get a pick. Now Baron's up. I don't know.
Shadow flechou, velho. Precisava de flechar, não.
Cannot contest for this. They just, again, used 3 ultimates and 3 summoner spells, right? Like, that was for a single kill onto Tien. There's no objective for them to take. They'll get maybe a top lane wave for Sheer. I feel like Sheer needs to be paying them back tenfold for what's been happening. Awesome's going to have to lose his flash. Yep. All right. Xiaohu trades his. I mean, Shadow doesn't have his summoner spells. Wonderful dodge.
Oh man, Care is just getting machine gunned down right now.
E o Care achou que ele ia fazer ali, né?
Just for the knock up onto the one, and he will find it over on the side. Sheer in trouble. Light wants a piece of the action. And FPX will be forced off. And again, Hong, nothing spectacular, but getting the dirty work done.
I mean, him and Xiaohu have been playing so well. There was so much criticism levied towards a player like Xiaohu.
Pô, tô com medo. Tô achando que eu ia ganhar essa série, velho. Tô achando. Porque... Que joguinho feio da FPX também, tá? Mas que draft horrível da FPX.
That was some ultimates used by Weibo as Breathe was chasing Sheer off, made him use his flash at the same time. So many over investments coming in from FPX.
All right, Breathe is going to have to fight out this 2v1 right now, but he could just try to walk away if he wants. Jway going to get in there, the Pop Blossom's going to land. Breathe not able to sustain himself.
Mais pick-offzinho que a FPX faz.
A lot of pings coming down onto this Baron.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like too many people are around.
I thought Weibo, you saw the investment. They were actually moving towards the dragon. They were going to try and grab their...
Pô, dá pra tentar baitar o Baron agora e fightar, hein? Kai'Sa tem ult. Todo mundo tem ult, a Aurora tem ult, tem?
We do not want them starting up this Baron. Between an Aurora and a Kai'Sa, they want zero funny business going down. I think FPX
consegui startar nada.
slow this game down a little bit. You are very close to having your Ahri at almost level 16 with a completed Rabadon's. Awesome as also
pegaram o Drake, pelo menos.
items here as this Kai'Sa now has the Runons to be able to deal a little bit more damage to short range. I think also awesome. You could have saved the flash there, especially
Meu Deus, a Weibo tá fazendo Baron.
You would have been able to dodge out on the Rin prison, but that's
Meu Deus do céu.
FPX are gonna trade for a dragon.
Nossa, e o Shadow nem vai ultar pra tentar roubar, né?
All game long, Alpha Battery, and they do it again. That Weibo wearing purple. Let's see FPX can actually get anything more. And it doesn't look like they can. They don't have.
Não sei os jogos de amanhã na LTA, quem que joga. Tem bem loud, né?
But even if you get Soul, that ain't gonna help.
Ocean Soul could be something that helps them over the
Nossa, tô meio enjoado ainda, velho. Tô achando que vou ter que desligar a live, galera, que eu tô meio mal, velho. Merda. MD5 já, né? Na LTA.
Now has kind of evened out and hasn't really had that impact. We need to see FPX actually walk up as 5 and do something in a fight, because that's kind of like the thing that we were using to
Acho que a Loud tira um joguinho. E acho que a Fúria ganha da Cade. Ó, gente, eu vou ter que desligar a live, tá? Tô passando muito mal. Tá meio foda. Caralho, que merda. Enjoadaço. Tô mal pra caralho aqui. Deve ser por causa do tanto de remédio que eu tive que tomar ontem, tá? Por causa do torcicolo lá. Vou lá.